What if everything you've been told about creativity is wrong? We're taught to break the rules, think outside the box, and wait for inspiration to strike. But what if the greatest creative genius in musical history did the exact opposite? Johann Sebastian Bach woke up at 5 a.m. every day for decades. He followed rigid musical structures and composed within constraints so strict that modern musicians struggle to replicate them. Yet, his music is timeless, profound, and emotionally overwhelming. Bach didn't achieve genius despite discipline. He achieved it because of it. This isn't just about music. It's about a revolutionary truth. Constraint doesn't kill creativity, it unleashes it. We love the myth of the tortured artist, the rebel who breaks all the rules and creates in bursts of wild inspiration, but it's mostly wrong. The greatest creators in history weren't chaotic, they were disciplined. They showed up, they worked, and they mastered their craft through relentless, systematic effort. Today's culture amplifies this myth, celebrating disruption and making us think creativity and constraint are enemies, but Bach proves otherwise. He is considered by many to be the greatest composer who ever lived, and he worked entirely within strict musical forms like fugues and cantatas. How did a man bound by such constraints create music of such boundless emotional depth? The answer reveals something profound about creativity itself. Let me paint you a picture of Bach's life. He woke at 5 a.m., first, prayer, then composition. By 7 a.m., he was teaching, and by 9 a.m., rehearsing. Afternoons were spent composing more, copying scores, and tuning instruments. As a church music director in Leipzig, he had to produce a new cantata every single week. That's 52 a year, each 20 to 30 minutes long, with full orchestra and choir. Most composers today struggle to produce one major work a year. Bach produced one per week, for decades. This wasn't just productivity, it was systematic mastery. He studied earlier composers, copying their work by hand to understand how it was built. He practiced for hours daily, not just playing but experimenting, building a vast internal library of musical possibilities. He believed creativity emerges from mastery. You don't break rules you don't understand. Imagine Bach in the morning. He sits at his desk, ready to write a fugue, one of the most complex musical forms ever devised. A fugue has strict rules. A main theme must appear in different voices, at different pitches, woven together according to complex principles. Bach doesn't wait for inspiration, he works. He knows his tools so well that the act of writing becomes a form of discovery. The constraints of the fugue don't limit him, they focus him. Within the strict structure, he finds infinite possibilities. This is the secret. Discipline creates freedom. Let's look at Bach's music to see why this matters. A fugue is like a conversation between musical voices, following strict harmonic rules. In lesser hands, this is mechanical and boring. In Bach's hands, it becomes miraculous. Take his little fugue in G minor. The theme is simple, but as it develops, it builds to overwhelming emotional intensity. The rules forced him to be inventive, or consider the Goldberg variations. The entire piece is built on a single bass line and chord progression. 30 variations, all using the same foundation. It sounds limiting, but Bach shows you infinite variety. One variation is a lullaby, another is a virtuosic display, another is a strict canon. Why? Because the constraint focused his attention. Instead of wandering through unlimited possibilities, he went deep into one, exploring every dimension of a single structure. Constraints force innovation. Bach often wrote canons, where one melody exactly imitates another. This means every note he wrote had to work both on its own, and when played simultaneously with its copy. The difficulty pushed him to solutions he'd never have discovered otherwise. This is true in any creative field. Limitations demand ingenuity. Here's the remarkable thing. Bach's music doesn't sound mathematical or constrained. When you listen to the chaconne for solo violin, you don't think about counterpoint. You feel grief, longing, and transcendence. The technical scaffolding is invisible, but it's what makes the soaring possible. Bach understood that emotional impact requires clarity. Chaotic and structured music might feel emotional in the moment, but it doesn't last. You can listen to the same Bach piece hundreds of times and keep discovering new layers, because the structure is so perfectly balanced. The discipline didn't stifle emotion, it amplified it. 3 centuries later, jazz musicians study Bach, rock bands arrange his compositions, and neuroscientists study how his music affects the brain. His work has lasted because it's built on a foundation so solid that it transcends time, culture, and fashion. Bach's lessons apply far beyond music. Think about athletes practicing fundamental drills endlessly. That discipline creates the foundation for improvisation under pressure. Think about writers who set strict daily routines. That discipline makes their writing more focused and powerful. In our modern world, we're drowning in possibilities, and many people are paralyzed by it. We need constraint to focus our creativity. So here's the question: what's your few? What structure will you embrace? If you're a writer, set a daily word count. If you're a coder, choose one language and go deep. If you're building a business, solve one problem exceptionally well before expanding. Bach woke at 5 a.m. every day because he understood that consistency compounds. One morning of work accomplishes little. 5,000 mornings create the lifetime of masterpieces. One workout changes nothing. 1,000 transform your body. Discipline is about what you do repeatedly until it becomes who you are. Bach's genius wasn't spontaneous. It was constructed, day by day. The scaffolding was discipline. The structure was constraint. The result was timeless beauty. You have the same opportunity. Choose your constraints. Because the path to creative freedom runs through discipline, not around it. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up. Will you wait for inspiration, or will you do what Bach did? Show up, work, practice your craft. The myth of the tortured artist is seductive, but Bach offers a different truth. Genius is built. You won't compose fugues, but you'll create something: a business, a skill, a life well lived. It won't come from unlimited freedom, it will come from embraced constraint. Bach didn't have infinite time, and neither do you. He chose structure over chaos, discipline over dabbling. What will you create, and what structure will you embrace to create it? The unseen scaffolding of your genius is waiting. It's discipline, it's constraint. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. But it works. Bach proved it. Now prove it yourself. If this inspires you, share it with someone who's waiting for inspiration instead of building their craft. And if you want more lessons from history's greatest creators, follow for more. Remember, your genius isn't buried in chaos. It's waiting to be built, one disciplined day at a time.